the Tsar Bomba, the king of bombs. The USSR and the United States had this controversy of each other ever since World War II. Now, the Tsar Bomba is something that the USSR, as in the Soviet Union, has created to defeat the United States during the Cold War. Now, the Tsar Bomba isn't something that you should mess around with. It is the most powerful hydrogen bomb ever created. For example, the USSR was envied the United States for creating the atomic bomb, which is the second most biggest bomb ever created and detonated onto Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II in Japan when the US was against Japan. Now, the USSR have seen this during World War II, and because of this, they saw and they envied it. They had the power. They seen it as an opportunity to take advantage and develop a bigger one to make the U.S. weaker than what they are. Why? Because the USSR are communist and the United States was capitalist. Okay? Now, the USSR, when they recreated this, they denotated around above the U.S., above the USSR. The test location was about 55 km north of the Sereny Summit and 250 kilometers north of the headquarters at Belushia, from where it was observed by the State Commission. The bomb design team, the test supervisors, headed by Major General Nikolai Pavlov, chairman of the State of the Commission. The common planet set 1,000 kilometers away. So this was way far from the USSR. For example, right here, this is the USSR. This is normal from where they are, and over here, that's where they denotated. So from around here, this area, they were watching this bomb from a distance. Now, the bomb was flown by a brave USSR soldier named Andrei E. Durnovstoviv. That was the name of the pilot. The bomb was released at 10,500 meters and made of a parachute retarded descent to 4,000 meters in 188 seconds before denotation. Now, let's say the bomb was so powerful that when it was dropped, they had to put a parachute for the plane could barely make it through. Okay? Now, the Tsar Bomba, the king of bombs, that is its nickname, is one of the most powerful, most dangerous bombs ever created. Why? And why did the United States fear this bomb so much? I'll tell you why. The bomb weighed approximately 27 tons and with the length of 8 meters, diameter of the 2.1 meters, and carried 50 megatons. When the U.S. heard this mess, they were terrified like no other. And a perspective as a fellow American, if I have ever seen this bomb explode in person or in video, I would run as fast as I could. I would run as fast as I could, and there's no way you could run away from this thing. Here is one of the cameramans would explain what he saw. The clouds beneath the aircraft in the distance were lit up by the powerful flash. The sea of light spread under the hatch of even clouds began to glow and became transparent. At the moment our aircraft emerged from between two clouded layers, and down below the gap of the huge bright orange ball was emerging. The ball was powerful and arrogant like Jupiter. Slowly and silent and crept uponward, having broken through the thick layer of clouds, it kept growing. It seemed to suck the whole earth into it, and the spectacle was fantastic, unreal, supernatural. Now that seems to be very descriptive to me, and described in the most amazing way of what this hydrogen bomb was made for. The bomb was actually a 100 megaton bomb design, but they made it to 50 megatons. Now, this is reduced the yield by 50% of eliminating the fastest fashioning and the urane to pamper of the fusion neutrons and eliminating 97% of the fallout, which is the 1.5 megatons of fusion instead of about 51.5 MT. Yet still proved the yield design. The result was the cleanest weapon ever tested, with 97% of the energy coming from fusion reaction. This bomb yield of a global fallout would have been tremendous. It would have been increased in the world's total fusion fallout since the invention of atomic bomb by 25%. The leader who let this happen was Nikita. Nikita was the main head president of the USSR. He gathered a meeting on July 10th, 1961. In the meeting was involved scientists which were Viktor Adamsaki, Yuri Babui, Yuri Smirnov, and Yuri Turnev. Also, with the help of the senior weapon designer Andrei Sakasi, they all had planned to make the biggest bomb ever to show off the U.S. and win the Cold War. Nikita wanted his idea to succeed quickly. As he finished, the bomb denotated why the 22nd Congress of the Communist Party was still running. Now, since the bomb was so powerful and so clean, became the Cuban Missile Crisis. During the Cold World War that was going on between those two. The king of bombs was so successful that the United States saw that the Soviet Union as a threat which had led the Cuban Missile Crisis. Cuba became communist due to getting influenced by the Soviet Union. They let themselves receive nuclear weapons from the Soviets. What caused the Soviets to do what was because their next door neighbor, Turkey, had missiles that were owned by the United States. These missiles were aimed at the USSR, and the United States and the Soviets built them up. Both countries had aimed at each other. They had gone into political and military arguments. Now Cuba was independent and had revolutionized to get its freedom. And now the USSR took advantage of that, and they went and influenced them to becoming communist. Well, becoming communist, they influenced them with having missiles in there that were owned by the USSR, which the United States had also put in missiles in Turkey aimed at USSR. So they were both aiming military missiles at each other. They were both really afraid of each other and was scared to denotate them on each other. Now, as you see in this chart, this circle right here is that tiny circle right there. These two, this one was in World War II. See how the smallest one right there? Now this big one, that big boy right there, that is the Tsar Bomba. The Tsar Bomba is 50 miles tall. 50 miles. So that's what caused the U.S. to be scared and have missiles on Turkey aimed at the USSR and have them afraid of each other. Now, because of that, in 1962, on October 22nd, John F. Kennedy announced that the U.S. citizens about the missiles and activated blockade from Cuba, and results people around the world, such as Europe, were afraid of nuclear war. Leader Nikita and JFK had an agreement to put down the missiles in exchange for the U.S. to leave Cuba alone. Kennedy later had agreed to take down the U.S. missiles and Turkey. President Richard Nixon, 1969 to 1974, noticed this problem once he stepped into the office, and he got the United States involved and adopted dente relaxation. With the USSR in 1972 and 1969 to 72, Nixon and Soviet Premier Leonid Brezhnev signed the SALT I Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. The treaty was to freeze the amount of nuclear weapons. SALT II was in November 1974, meeting in Vladivostok. President General Ford and Brezhnev agreed to basic frame for SALT II, which was done on June 22nd, 1979. SALT II replaced the amount of missiles with the new ones. Now, because of what had happened with the nuclear weapons, the USSR and the rest and United States limited the amounts of weapons that was going around between each other. And because of this led many countries that had owned nuclear power becoming nuclear weapons for each other. And this got into problems with a bunch of countries, as in China, Israel, Egypt, Britain, Germany. They also had carried nuclear weapons because of their treaties that they had, and because of what, well, if somebody, it's like if somebody over there has a book that I want, I would want to get that book just in case I might learn something from that book. That is what they're doing. They're having weapons that are same of each other to protect themselves of what is going on, as in the nuclear war, which I doubt anybody will start, because that is some very disgusting things to see around the world and with each other. And because of that, if somebody does not follow the rules, the treaties that were going on, each country gets fined depending on how many warheads they have and how long they have carried them. If a country has found out they have had something like that, other than nuclear power instead of nuclear weapons, they can get in big trouble for that. As in Syria. Syria had said that they had nuclear power. But what other countries found out, they have nuclear weapons. If they have found out they have nuclear weapons, if they never told the truth, if they have told the truth, they would have gotten themselves out of the fine and would have gone of the Allied powers, which are the superpowers that are now today leaders and running around the countries, making sure everything is correct, preventing a World War III or a nuclear weapon war. Thank you. My name is Tony De La Cruz, and thank you for listening to me. Bye-bye.